I'm Rick Hart. This is your APTN News Brief for Wednesday, January 24th. We begin once again in Melfort, Saskatchewan, site of the inquest into the mass stabbings on the James Smith Cree Nation. And Day 7's testimony included that of a senior official with Correctional Services Canada. Rachel May has more.
Last week, we learned that Miles Sanderson, the killer in the September 4th, 2022 stabbing attacks, was unlawfully at large at the time. This week, we're beginning to hear why. Cindy G. with Correctional Services Canada says Sanderson was sentenced to federal prison in May of 2019. He was granted statutory release in August of 2021 after serving 2/3 of his sentence. He breached his conditions but turned himself in. Sanderson's parole officer recommended sending him back to prison, but he was released again in November 2021. 3 months later, in February of 2022, Sanderson breached again but did not turn himself in. CSC deemed him unlawfully at large and issued a warrant for his arrest. The inquest continues this week. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
To the Northwest Territories, where there are reports of fatalities following a Tuesday afternoon plane crash near the town of Fort Smith. The coroner's service confirmed the deaths aboard the 19-passenger plane, but did not disclose their identities, pending notifications of the next of kin. As of last night, it was not yet known how many were on the plane. Located near the Alberta boundary, the Fort Smith Hospital activated its mass casualty protocol following the crash. The RCMP say Transport Canada and search teams were called in to help. A representative for the company operating the plane told Canadian Press it was a charter flight, but provided no further comment. 2 recent First Nations deaths in Thunder Bay has some raising questions about policing in that city. Just days before Christmas, the body of 14-year-old Mackenzie Munoz was found in the water at Marina Park. She'd previously been reported missing. Then, on December 30th, the body of 21-year-old Jenna Ostberg was discovered in a house in the city, a death that Ontario's Special Investigations Unit is now looking into. Carol Machado is a member of the Red Rock Indian Band. She also chairs the Thunder Bay Police Services Board.
We have a long way to go to build that trust. It takes seconds to break trust, but it could take years to rebuild that trust. So we're committed. We're going to hopefully demonstrate it and show it by the actions we take. Building engagement, building relationships so that we can earn back that trust. That's our goal. So specifically as the chair and the chief are mandated to meet with various Indigenous leaders, have dialogue, engage in concerns, and then report back to the board. So there's also now that accountability component that we have to come back and say we did and what we did. And then from there, the board will discuss and maybe make recommendations or different ways to approach things or reflect that in our policies and our processes that we put in place. We're engaged, we care, we're committed, and we want to make sure it's in line with legislation, with the recommendations, so we can have better outcomes in the future.
An update for you now on a dispute over an advertisement at the Ottawa International Airport. And just before Christmas, the airport took down the ad, purchased by the Manitoba Métis Federation, after a First Nation in Quebec complained it created confusion over territorial ownership. A move MMF called discriminatory and has since filed legal action. Among other damages, the Federation wants both the Ontario Superior and federal courts to immediately reinstate the signage and the Ottawa Airport Authority to admit it breached their contract. MMF President David Chartrand.
But I find it quite disrespectful and discriminatory in many ways by the airport authority, who made the decision to say the sign was offensive. Now, all it says the Red Métis Nation, national government. How can that be in any way offensive? Not far from there is the Saskatchewan provincial government sign, claiming, of course, the province of Saskatchewan as a government. So how can my sign be offensive and Saskatchewan government sign not be offensive?
And finally, a Cree Métis woman is happy she tried her luck. Her last-minute ticket came up a winner at this year's $3.2 million lottery for Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. Annette Francis has the story.
Tanya Lalonde might not have a great shot, but she sure knows how to pick a winner.
So I bought the ticket on the last day that it was available. And they're like, for us, they're quite expensive. They're $100 each. So I didn't tell my husband because he would, I think, not be very happy for me spending $100 on a ticket. And that just happened to be the winning one. So that was pretty cool.
Not bad for $100. This 4-bedroom, 5-bath, 4,383 square foot, $2 million home is theirs.
As you can see, everything's included. All the beds, all the furnishings was all part of the home. So I think the only thing we really need is like pots, pans, dishes, maybe some towels. We also won free groceries for a year, so we don't even have to like go grocery shopping. We do, but we don't have to pay for it. We won, free gas for a year. So all of those things that make it really, really nice for us.
Lalonde says it's a transition for her 3 kids as well.
This is like gigantic compared to, our current home. We had actually just moved in October to a new home. We had to upgrade because we had been living in a smaller home before that. But with 2 teenagers and a third almost teenager and a dog, we really needed a bit more space.
Looking back at her life, Lalonde can't believe this dream came true.
This is something that's just so unbelievable for someone who grew up like I did. Like, I grew up in the foster care system. I was in foster care from the age of 21 months until I was 20 years old. I lived in probably about 20 different homes throughout those years. So, to go from that and to be now sitting here, it's just, I'm so grateful, and I hope that, people who watch my story will feel inspired by it, and will see that, like, you can go through hard things and hard times, and life can still turn out like to be such a beautiful thing.
Lalonde says holidays will be celebrated here, filled with friends and family in their forever home. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Manotick, Ontario.
And that's your APTN News Brief for Wednesday, January 24th. I'm Rick Hart.